Hello and welcome to I Talk to Ghosts, the podcast that has a hidden portrait in the attic that must never be discovered. I'm your host, Jennifer, a spirit medium and an avid collector of ghost stories. And we have a special occasion this episode. I am creeping up on my birthday this month. So to celebrate with you, my spooky friend, I've collected some eerie tales that center around the theme of birthdays because ghosts like to celebrate too. And stick around later for a new spirit reading with my podcast guest of the week. And then linger around a little longer because I'll connect a message from the spirits for someone listening to this podcast. And that message could be specifically for you. But first, the spooky. The ghosts are gathering around the birthday cake right now. We moved into a new house a few months ago. As we were in the process of purchasing this house, the renter who was living in it died unexpectedly of natural causes in his mid-40s. He died right in the middle of the living room. We proceeded to purchase the house anyway. Shortly after we moved into the house, almost immediately, our 2-year-old daughter started talking about the ghost that lived in our house. Now, let's be real here. She is 2, and 2-year-olds are very impressionable. Halloween had recently passed, and she had this Halloween-themed picture book that she loved to read. So it's entirely possible that all this talk of ghosts was just coming from looking through that book on a regular basis. Still, she was always telling me that the ghost was in her playhouse in the basement, or that the ghost was on the stairs, or that the ghost was standing in the corner. She never seemed to be afraid of the ghost and considered him to be her friend, so I wasn't all that concerned, even if there really was a ghost haunting our house. If he's a nice and helpful ghost, it could certainly be a lot worse. I would often tell the ghost that he was welcome to stay if he wanted to, but he was also welcome to go if that would make him happier. I was about 30-70 on the ghost being real and she could see and talk to him versus the ghost being just her imagination, fueled by her Halloween book. Until one day, when we were about to go out to the car to go to daycare in the morning, my daughter told me that the ghost was on the backyard deck, even though it was a dark and rainy morning. And then she told me that today was the ghost's birthday, and she wanted to sing him happy birthday before we left for the day. Once again, I mostly disregarded what she was saying, as she is birthday obsessed and has in the past made us sing happy birthday to Mickey Mouse, a bowl of fruit snacks, and even the bathroom. So we sang and wished the ghost a happy birthday and went on with our lives. Later that day, out of pure curiosity, I looked up the obituary of the man who had died in our house. And wouldn't you know it was his birthday. When I was 9 years old, we lived in a 3-bedroom house that had a big front yard and backyard. Nothing odd or weird happened during the first few months after we moved in. But as the months went by, I started feeling that something was wrong or something was going on inside the house. I would hear footsteps in the hallway when no one was there. I would see the bathroom lights turn on and off by themselves, even when no one else was home. The electric fan would turn on when it wasn't even plugged in, and the chandelier on the main floor would sway back and forth for no apparent reason. It would be worse at night, especially when we were all asleep. I would wake up in the middle of the night and see by my bedroom door a woman slowly floating away. I would see shadows even when the lights were on. I saw a woman in white in my backyard, just staring at the full moon. Finally, one night, I woke up to find a woman at the foot of my bed, staring out my bedroom window. I thought it was my mom, so I called out, "Mom?" The woman turned around and she smiled at me. Then she said, "Happy birthday." Because I was so drowsy from just waking up, I thanked her and fell back asleep. The following morning, I asked my mom if she was in my bedroom and greeted me happy birthday. And my mom said, "No, I wasn't in your room this morning or last night." I don't want to know who was in my bedroom that night. I don't want to know how she knew it was my birthday. We moved out of that house after 3 years. The family that moved in after us had worse experiences, but that's another story. It was a hot afternoon, and my brother Ralph and I got stuck with helping our aunt do household chores. There was a lot to do since it was my cousin Adelina's 16th birthday, and they were throwing a party. While dusting some furniture, I suddenly heard soft cries coming from upstairs. I dismissed it as the result of some of my younger cousins fighting and continued on with my dusting. The crying continued, so I told Ralph to check on what was going on upstairs. He gave me a blank look and a half shrug and walked out of the room. The crying did stop, so I imagine he ended up investigating the drama. Later that evening, during the party, everyone sang happy birthday to Adelina. I noticed a little girl in a pink dress that I had never seen before standing beside her, and I assumed she was a neighbor's daughter. As we ate cake, I heard crying again. I recognized the cries as the same as I heard earlier. No longer burdened by chores, I followed the sounds of the crying, and they led me to the little girl. She was crying as she sat on the steps of the stairs. I sat next to the girl, and I asked her why she was crying. "Nobody wished me happy birthday. It's my birthday, too." "Oh, well, happy birthday," I smiled, and she smiled back. She wiped her eyes, got up, and ran into the crowd. I guess she was content enough to rejoin her family, and that made me happy. At the end of the party, I was also one of the people to help straighten up. While cleaning, I spotted a photograph of the girl from before. The photo looked old, so I figured it wasn't taken today. She was wearing the same pink dress while standing next to a similar-looking girl. Curious, I asked my mother about the girls in the picture. I didn't get an answer, just a scolding for asking. Still wondering about the girl's identity, I asked my older brother about it. First, he refused to tell me, but after I begged him, he finally opened up. She's Adelita, Annalina's twin. She died when she fell from the stairs a few years ago on her birthday. After I told him about Adelita's little visit to me, he said that I wasn't the first family member that had encountered the little girl. After this event, I never did see Adelita again. But every year, on her birthday, I light a candle for her and I wish her a happy birthday. Would you like to receive a free spirit reading with me? Enter for your chance at italktoghosts.com/guest. Each week, I'll randomly select a name from the list to be a guest on the show. Together, we will talk to the spirits who wish to communicate with you, and our session will be featured on a future episode of I Talk to Ghosts. The spirits are waiting. Enter now at italktoghosts.com/guest. Hello and welcome back to I Talk to Ghosts. My guest this evening is Carrie. Carrie, welcome to your spirit reading. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. I'm very excited. I'm looking forward to hearing from whoever.
First off, someone just really, okay. Did your mom pass away?
Yeah, she did.
Okay. Because she's coming through with so much love and she just wants to say, I love you.
Yeah.
And there seems to be an element of worry. It's not necessarily coming from her.
It would be coming from me.
Yeah. Well, she wants to reassure you, don't be worried. Everything's good. And including this reading. This reading's going to work out.
I am an anxious person, always, my whole life. And Mommy and I would play the what's the worst that could happen game. And the worst that could happen happened with her, and I'm still here.
Yeah.
So,
oh my gosh,
I have to let go of that anxiety from that. But she is the number one person, and her message that you just said was the number one thing I asked for.
Yeah, she, there was she was conveying, like, I feel what this worry is to you, and then the wave of reassurance that came with it. And it's funny because she said she wanted me to ask you what happened. She understands that this event is like something to unpack, and it's not like we have to go into detail about it, but it's funny that
I'm okay.
It's funny how you said, what's the worst thing that could happen? And she was like, well, ask her what happened.
Yeah.
What happened?
I went to visit her because she they lived far away from my sister and I, so we talk on the phone and I could tell something was going on, but they weren't my mom and dad weren't sharing information, and so I figured if I go in person they can't hide it from me. So I went down in person, and within 2 days of me being there she passed away. She stopped breathing and I had to perform CPR, which was horrific. And so that's the worst that could happen right there.
Yeah. It seemed like an event, like it wasn't like, oh, this slow thing. So yeah, it just felt like to give that some air and to, kind of be like, acknowledge it and say, it is okay.
Yeah.
It really is. And try not to worry. And she understands that,
that's
it's
me.
your nature.
That's me. The reason she said, I love you, because that was the big question, is when she passed away, she was not herself. So probably like she knew what was happening and she was not very nice to me. And she was very angry towards me. And I didn't know what was going on. So when she passed away, she was not saying I love you or hugging her, you know, it was just,
Yes.
and then she passed away. And so that was why at the end, it was, my emotions were all over the place. My mom that I loved, it was not the same at the end.
Yeah.
And so that's why that's the big question.
Okay. Yes. It's funny because the message came, sometimes I get the message like, tell her I love her. But this was like the words, I love you.
To make sure I know. But that was a big one there, Jennifer. Right off the bat, that was the first one.
Okay, we're
done. We're good.
And time.
That's it.
Let me talk about her personality a little bit. I was getting a lot of energy from her of, let's do this or let's do that.
Yeah.
You know, okay. And kind of like, oh, no, there's this. And, oh, no, let's do this thing.
We were just talking about this 2 minutes before I came on.
Do you want to speak to that a little bit?
I was just with my sister at my aunt's house, which is her sister. And so my aunt is very much like my mother, and my mother was like this as well. And my sister and my aunt, I was trying to get them to do things, and they're like, oh, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this, let's do. And so I'm not like that, and they were all over the place. And so the fact that you brought that up means she's listening to our conversation, is with us, and knows exactly what's happening. And she was like that too. Like,
yeah, a little bit. Yeah, force in nature type of, like, just get out of the way. I've got things to do.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
And, you know, she was also really, but like, she could use that energy to like manifest. I think she was just, I'm really seeing her as like the magician type of, how did you do this? Do you find that to be true?
Yes. Her energy and all the things she would do and how creative she was, and like she would be the life of the party. And she was kind of like, when we were kids, she was like the Pied Piper with all the other kids following her, and like she was just, you know, magic.
A magnet.
Yeah. And then, you know, of course there was the other side, but that side, that is, you know, for sure her personality. And we all joke that we're, you know, witchy with the things that happen with us.
Oh, magical.
Yeah.
Okay. Then that magician element certainly makes sense. Yeah. Okay. It's like, wow, you're just able to manifest out of the air and celebrate that because, you know, not everyone has that gift, and it is a gift. And, she wanted to talk about your smile a little bit, that you light up a room with your smile, and you're just a darling. Yeah. Do you love Halloween?
Yes.
Like, she's telling me you're her
favorite
pumpkin.
Halloween.
Okay.
That was her favorite and my favorite.
Okay. Okay. She's like, oh, she's just a pumpkin, you know, like, all right, there must be this Halloween thing going on because not everyone wants to be called a pumpkin.
I'm glad she didn't give you the other nickname, because that's really embarrassing.
Oh, no. Yeah, don't worry. Let me see. Do you do little things for her? She wants to acknowledge, like lighting candles and little offerings, things like that.
I do everything with as if they're still here with us. So like at Christmas, I have a toast to her and use her glasses. It's just a daily thing. I don't think of them as gone. Sure.
Well, don't, you know, and because obviously she's acknowledging it. She sees it. And like, I'm kind of getting goosebumps. I feel like she's here with us. She is here with us now.
She's been around. Yeah. We've seen her.
Oh, you'll have to tell me about that later. I was seeing ambitious, full of ideas. A little bit particular, though. She had her ways of doing things.
Absolutely.
Did she have, like, a signature drink or snack? Like, this was her thing. It was always this.
There's a few things. I wouldn't say it's like one thing. She just, when she liked things, she really liked them. So there's things that I think of as hers, but it's not one thing.
Sure.
Okay. There's a bunch of
There, I was trying to soften it. It's almost like you see this and it's like, well, that's
mommy.
Mom.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and it's like, it's almost a joke. Like, this again? Like, how many times aren't you sick of this?
Yeah, no.
You know? Okay. She was showing me light sparkling on the water. Is there significance to that?
My aunt said that she saw my mom in a dream coming to her after she passed away, and she was standing on water with all the sparkling and telling her like, and this is how she described it, that it was like all the sparkling on the water and the waves coming in, and that's how she saw mommy, that mommy was okay after she passed on. So I didn't see that, but that was, and water in general is a big thing for us, our family. Like, we lived on an island and went to the beach all the time, and we always wanted to be near water and would take vacations at the beach, and so I think that's just it's always been a part of us, is the water.
Did she have like a simple perfume, like a signature smell? Okay. Because I was kind of picking up on that. It wasn't overbearing, but it was like, it was almost like I gave her this side hug and like, it smelled like her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's really hard to describe.
Well, since she has passed on, we have smelled her. It's her perfume, and it's cigarette smoke mixed in. But we can smell her. So the smell is commonplace for us. It hasn't been lately, but it's happened many times, more than a handful. It happens a lot.
Okay.
And she did have a signature scent.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Good. Just so positive. One last thing before she does have a message for you, but she was also kind of bringing up themes of opportunity, like, oh, you got to do this, or oh, that kind of excited for you. I would say when opportunity kind of drifts in. Yeah, and don't hold yourself back with any kind of worry about, like, if it immediately makes your heart skip a beat in a good way, pay attention to that more than anything. Okay. Okay. So here are some messages that I have for you. It's don't stifle yourself. Don't hold yourself back. Okay. Explore variety and let positive emotions guide you. Okay, the positive emotions.
No worries.
No worries. She sees a successful beginning for you. So yeah, again, with opportunity, like if you have an opportunity to leave your comfort zone for something a little unknown, don't let that worry you too much. Okay. So keep that in mind. And she says, change is good and to explore. Okay. So there you go. What do you think?
Oh, wonderful. Everything, I mean, after the very beginning, I can't, like, my mind is still there.
I can't convey to you enough how much it was like, say these exact words. Tell her you love her. Say, I love you. In that way, like, I love you. I just cannot convey that experience enough to you of how much importance was put on it. And I'm so glad that I'm just honored that I could deliver that message and make that connection for you. But she is with you always. She's with you always.
So all my talking out loud is paying off.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Book a medium reading with me. If you have a past loved one you would like to connect with, a spirit reading can be an amazing and never spooky experience. I strive to give you specific details that align only to you and your loved ones. Curious? Visit italktoghosts.com for links to book with me. I can't wait to meet you.
Hello and welcome back to I Talk to Ghosts. I have a message from the spirits tonight for someone listening to the podcast. For this message, I take a moment to ground and center and meditate and create a welcoming space for a spirit to come close with a message.
And a lovely woman has joined me this evening. I can tell that she was very generous in life. The funny thing is, she had this way of any obstacle or difficulty that crossed her path, she had just such grace and skill at navigating through it. She made it look easy. And I think that always surprised and delighted you about the way she could do that. And not only that, she was generous with what she had. She just had this grace and calming presence and was giving without expecting anything in return. And there wasn't even the worry that she would be taken advantage of. And she never was. She's showing me that during your friendship, she would lend you her car whenever you had to run errands and things like that. And I also am seeing her lovely backyard. It wasn't big and grand, but she definitely took care of her space. This seems like a more arid climate. I'm seeing succulents and other plants of that type. And I can hear these wind chimes really softly, not the metal kind, but the wooden kind, and how they can make that really lovely wooden noise when the wind blows through them. And her favorite time of day was twilight, when that soft, quiet space happens in the day and the colors turn more pastel. She just really loved to be out there during that time and communing with her garden and the nature there. And her message for you tonight is just to pass along that great sense of grace and patience that she had. She wants to offer that support to you still. And I wouldn't be surprised if you found it so helpful when you were together. So if there is anything difficult or challenging for you going on, just connect with your friend and tap into that sense of peace and flow that she had with the world, because it's beautiful. Okay, I think I'm going to leave it at that. What a wonderful connection. I can just feel the energy of this woman, and she is very lovely to know. Thank you for sharing this with me. Before we depart this evening, I'd like to give a spooky shout out to some Patreon supporters who support this podcast. So a spirited thank you to Peter, Rob, Gordon, Daniel, Gabrielle, Stephen, Jake, Jennifer, Renee, and Sean. Thank you all so much. And if you're interested in supporting the podcast, head on over to patreon.com/italktoghosts or visit the link in the show notes. And with that, dear listener, we've reached the end of this episode of I Talk to Ghosts. I hope you've enjoyed the stories and the spooky birthday celebrations that I shared with you this evening. Have you ever had something unexplainable happen on your birthday? I would love to hear about it. And wherever you wander off to in this world or the next, just remember, come back and visit with me. Have a lovely evening and good night.